I stopped making prank calls when I was 12. Not because I got bored and not because I got caught, but because of one call that I still think about now, even 10 years later, in ways I can't fully explain without sounding like I'm leaving something out. Back then, it was just something we did to pass time. Me and a couple of friends would sit in my room late at night, scrolling through random numbers online, dialing them, and trying not to laugh while we said stupid things to whoever picked up. Most of the time, no one answered. When they did, it was usually someone annoyed, half asleep, or confused. Nothing memorable. Nothing that lasted longer than a few seconds. Until that night. It was just after midnight. I remember the house being completely quiet, the kind of silence where even small sounds feel louder than they should. My parents were asleep, my friends had already gone home, and I was still awake, lying on my bed with my phone, scrolling through numbers. I picked one without thinking. It rang longer than usual. Then someone answered. He didn't say hello. He just listened. At first, I thought the call hadn't connected properly because there was no immediate response, just a faint sound in the background. Slow breathing. I remember feeling a little uncomfortable, but not enough to hang up. I said something stupid, something like asking if his refrigerator was running, expecting either silence or irritation. Instead, after a few seconds, he spoke. He said, "You shouldn't call numbers you don't understand." There was nothing aggressive in his voice. No anger, no confusion. He sounded calm, almost conversational, like he was continuing a discussion that had already started somewhere else. I laughed a little, mostly out of habit, and said something else, trying to keep it going. That's when he said it. He said, "I can see you." I remember sitting up slightly when I heard that, not because I believed him, but because of how he said it. Not like a threat or a joke, like a statement. I looked around my room without thinking. The door was closed, the window was covered, nothing out of place, nothing that would suggest anyone was actually watching me. So I did what anyone would do at that age. I challenged him. I asked him to prove it. There was a pause on the line, longer this time. Then he said, very quietly, "You're sitting on your bed, not under the blanket, even though the room is cold." I froze. It wasn't something impossible to guess, not exactly, but it was specific enough to feel wrong. I told myself it was coincidence, that he was just saying something generic that happened to fit. Then he continued. He said, "Your door is closed, but not fully. It doesn't latch unless you push it harder." I looked at the door. It was exactly like that. Still, I didn't hang up. I should have, but I didn't. I asked him how he knew that. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, "You shouldn't be alone this late." There was something in the way he said that, something that made it feel less like concern and more like awareness. That's when I ended the call. I just hung up and sat there for a while, staring at my phone, trying to convince myself it was nothing, that it was someone nearby, someone who had seen me earlier, someone who was guessing. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, everything felt normal again. Daylight has a way of doing that, making things feel smaller, less real. I almost forgot about it by the afternoon, until my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. It was him. He didn't introduce himself. He just said, "You ended the call too early." My chest tightened when I heard his voice again, but I tried to keep my tone normal. I asked him what he wanted. He said, "You asked me to prove it." There was a pause. Then he added, "I don't like leaving things unfinished." I remember standing up without realizing it, like my body was reacting before my mind caught up. I told him to stop calling me. He ignored that. Instead, he said, "You're in the kitchen now." I wasn't. Not yet. But I had been about to go there. I didn't say anything. He continued, "You're thinking about checking the back door." That's when I stopped moving. Because he was right. It wasn't something visible. It was a thought. Something I hadn't acted on yet. I hung up again. This time, I turned my phone off. For the rest of that day, nothing happened. I told myself it was over. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anyone. Because I couldn't explain it without sounding like I was making it up. That was the first mistake. The second was turning my phone back on that night. There were no missed calls, no messages. Everything looked normal. I went to bed, trying to ignore the lingering feeling that something hadn't ended properly. Sometime during the night, I woke up. The room felt different, just quieter. Then I heard breathing from somewhere inside the house. I stayed completely still, listening, trying to figure out where it was coming from. Then my phone lit up on the bedside table. No ringtone, just the screen. An incoming call. Unknown number. I didn't want to answer, but I did. I held the phone to my ear without saying anything. For a few seconds, there was only that same slow breathing. Then he spoke. He said, "You hear it now." My throat felt dry, like I couldn't respond even if I wanted to. He continued, still calm and controlled. He said, "I told you not to call numbers you don't understand." I asked him where he was. It came out quieter than I expected. He didn't hesitate. He said, "Closer than you think." I got out of bed then, slowly, not because I wanted to move toward anything, but because staying still felt worse. I opened my bedroom door. The hallway was dark. I turned back toward my room. My phone was still at my ear. The line was still open. And then he said something that I didn't fully understand until years later. He said, "It's easier when they notice it themselves." The call ended. Nothing else happened that night. No sounds, no movement, no sign of anyone in the house. The next morning, my parents told me something strange. They said the back door had been unlocked. They thought I had forgotten to lock it. I told them I hadn't touched it. They didn't believe me. And eventually, I stopped bringing it up. Time passed. We moved houses. I changed numbers. Life went on. I never received another call from him. At least, not directly. 10 years later, I work in a job where I deal with phone records sometimes. Nothing complicated, just routine data, numbers, timestamps, call logs. A few months ago, I came across something that made me stop. A number, unregistered, no owner, no location data, but it appeared in multiple cases over the years. Short calls, late at night, different people, different cities, always brief, always followed by nothing. I pulled one of the reports, a statement from someone who had received a call. They described it almost exactly the way I would have. The breathing, the calm voice, the same sentence. "I can see you." That's when I realized something I hadn't understood back then. He wasn't watching me, not in the way I thought, because the last detail in that report was the time of the call. It matched exactly the time I woke up that night. Not when I first called him, when he called me back. And the part that still doesn't sit right with me is that according to the records, my number wasn't receiving a call at that time. It was making one from inside the house.